So a few days ago, I watched the Megyn Kelly rant about Don Lemon saying that Nikki Haley was too old or past her prime to run for president. I'm not a huge Nikki Haley fan, but he really stepped in it. It was like the most inappropriate thing he could say, politically incorrect, especially where the network that he broadcasts from. I had a hard time believing what he said and how he could have said it and what his mindset was to be able to say such a thing, all things considered. And it was just outrageous. Of course, what he was saying, what he was referring to, was the notion that the archaic notion that women are only valued for their sexual desirability, and many men, I shouldn't say most, many men find women, or maybe I should say a lot of men, or some men, find women at their most attractive in their 20s and possibly 30s, and maybe 40s. I've understood that my whole life, that's probably the case, you know. I mean, what do the centerfolds look like? What do the porn stars look like? So on and so forth. So I also am old enough to remember back in the late 60s, or when the hippie generation gap thing was going on, they would say anybody, male or female, who was over 30 was over the hill. In those days, it was over 30. Get that, over 30. So we've come quite a long way. Men always had the advantage over women in that way. Men are even perceived as being sexy when they're older, with some gray hair or gray on their temples, and the distinguished, sophisticated older man. I do think that, though, that things have progressed somewhat with women in that regard. And there's a lot of things at play. Women have entered the professions, doctors, lawyers, all pretty much any profession they want to. For those of you who are younger, that was not the case years ago. When I was growing up, a woman would only think of being a secretary, a nurse, a hairstylist, what else? Teacher. There were a limited number of professions that a woman would even think of going into. There was always the odd woman, and I say the odd woman on both meanings, the odd woman that would be a doctor or a lawyer or a pharmacist, so on and so forth. So we've come a long way in that regard. I would say probably for men and women, I did hear someone else raise this point, and I have to agree with them. Once you're past a certain age, your hormones aren't raging as much, and that's probably the time where it would be good to go into politics. If you're more level-headed, your hormones have calmed down to some extent. Of course, we don't know when that is for men exactly, but women, as they get past menopause, that might be the perfect time for them to be more level-headed. And here I'm being a little bit of an ageist in a reverse way, but I was saying that it really has nothing to do with it. Women are intelligent human beings. They can be in positions of leadership. They have been in the past. And even if you go back into when I was going to college, my favorite courses were history and sociology. You go back into history, and some of the things that women did were not as valued, but they had a position in society even into old age. They were the wise women. They were the women that would teach the younger women anyway, how to cook, how to do these crafts, how to, all the crafts that were necessary for survival, like making the clothes, spinning the thread, um, uh, all the folk wisdom that was handed down, um, how to, just how to hold society get together. Women had a big part in that, the older women. And I work as a hairstylist. I was even doing this guy's hair a while back, and we were talking about how and he was rather conservative, and he was saying that how when things are getting really way out and with all this swearing and outrageous acting out and all this kind of thing, how when the older women are around, they kind of rein it all in. And he was saying, thank God for the older women. So anyway, the whole point I'm making on this is I don't know how he could say such a thing. And Megyn Kelly almost took it personally. But this is something that's been going on for a long time, like when women are in their prime. When are women in their prime? Well, you're talking about physically or sexually in their prime, or sexual desirability. Yes, he might have a point there, unfortunately. But in real life, I'm saying in real life, not even I'll take this other example too. Even older women I don't think they're as much into it as the older man about really looking at a younger woman, but even older women will appreciate a good-looking younger man. I do. I'll see a younger guy. It doesn't mean I'm really lusting after him. Maybe the older man is lusting. I'm not sure, but the older women will appreciate the beauty and the eye candy ness of a younger guy without necessarily wanting to do anything about it. They're just appreciating the younger attractive man. And so some of that is that too, that I think, I'm a woman, not a man, but some of it is that a beautiful young woman, is something to gaze at, but in real life, many of them in actuality, when they're older, wouldn't necessarily want to be married to that much younger of a woman. I mean, some men do, especially rich men, which I think is also a status thing. But the thing with women is as they get older, it's like, whatever, we don't even care. I mean, we care, but we don't care. So we have a lot of other things to think about besides being jealous of younger women. So there's always a lot. Many of us have grandchildren. I don't, but I do take care of my great nephew and kind of like his grandma, and or help take care of him. And we have a lot more important things to think about than our sexual desirability, or are we physically in our prime. So I'm still baffled by the whole thing. I can't understand why he said that. I think that women have a lot to offer, especially as they get older. And I'm glad it came up in a way. People can debate that and realize that, yes, they're going to be outraged enough to say that, yes, the older woman has a lot to offer. Thanks for listening.